uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a Monday night. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. How do we start off this Monday edition? Hopefully you got through it. Mondays aren't always the best for me, but it is start off the week. So let's start off the week strong, shall we? 3 things. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. And then, of course, your phone calls. Because I know there's a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of talk about, once again, the quarterback situation and what the Bucs are going to do, which they really haven't made any moves yet concerning the salary cap. Which, by the way, if you missed it or under a rock, especially when we're on this show, they're $55 million over. So they have to make some moves. There's been quarterbacks that have been talked about. Kyle Trask has been talked about. I threw something out there. I'll throw it out there again because it definitely got some hits, if you will, some likes and some people thinking. A little exercise for you Bucs fans out there. Once again, let me give out the phone numbers before I do that because I'm getting ahead of myself. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Also a new number in case you can't get in. 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. This report off of Twitter. The Bucs could be looking at 4 experienced quarterback options to back up or compete with Kyle Trask. Because what I've heard, I've talked to people about this, in the know, it's certainly a possibility more than anything else that they're going to go with Kyle Trask as the starter in 2023. What's going to happen? I don't know. I told you how I feel about the situation. I have major concerns. But the 4 names that have been mentioned in this report, take it for what it's worth, because we've talked about it on this show with Dave Canales now being the new offensive coordinator from the Seattle Seahawks, Drew Lock from the Seahawks being a backup, the Saints' Andy Dalton, the Eagles' Gardner Minshew, and the Commanders' Taylor Heineke. Now, which makes this list a little bit more, if you will, Carson Wentz was cut today by the Washington Commanders so they could sign Heineke back as a backup. Of course, that saves the Washington Commanders $26 million. So I want to hear from you in the order of that. I get it. There's Kyle Trask people out there that want to see him start. I understand that because he has sat behind Tom Brady the last couple of years. He is a second-round pick, so you don't know what you have at the end of the day. And you need to figure that out eventually. Will this be the year that they do it? All signs point that that's what's going to happen eventually. But if there's a quarterback off of this list, if there's a quarterback that you like the Bucs to sign at this juncture, give me a call. Let's talk about it. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, off this list, Locke, Dalton, Gardner Minshew, Taylor Heineke. Put it in order. Excuse me. All right, let's go out to the comments here first. Roger Shue says first. Let's go ahead and acknowledge me. Let's go out to Troy here first. Again, you're not first. Thank you very much for tuning in, but you're not first.
This guy sucks.
Roger's first. Hit the like. The only way for super chats are open. Help Peter out. He doesn't work for free. Absolutely. Super chats are open. If you want something to say, you can pay for it. I'm going to read it any way it goes. Would it be nice to get the YouTube super chats going, and of course, Facebook stars at the end of the day. It would be nice to see that. Be right back. Roger says, save us, Kyle Trask. Starting off early, I see, Roger.
Shitter!
Let's go out to Kevin here. Evening, y'all. Absolutely. Evening to you, Kevin. Thanks a lot for tuning in, like always.
Oh, yeah!
Becoming a webhead here. Some new webheads. Like I said, I don't bite. If you want to follow me, friend me at Peter H. Blake. Follow me. Follow the content. The content is there. We'll make sure we provide the content that you want. If you want to talk about quarterbacks, we'll talk about quarterbacks. You want to talk about franchise tags? We'll talk about franchise tags. You want to talk about salary cap? I don't really want to talk about salary cap. I like to talk about this team spending money. But the reality of the situation right now is they're still $55 million in the hole. Now, once again, they're going to have some corresponding moves here in the next couple of weeks. So keep abreast of the situation. We got you covered here on the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. Good stuff, Kevin. Thanks a lot. Bring us the Greek. Greek is not going to be on tonight. It's going to be Leo. Peter said he dies for this because he loves it. I don't know what that was all about. Okay. I don't even know what that comment is about. What is that comment about there, Troy? No idea. Corey says, Lightning still Eastern Conference champs, 880 days since September 2020. Christopher Cole says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Roger Shoe. That's not true at all. Troy says, I'm glad that my Bears are in talks of trading that running back Fields and drafting a real quarterback. Well, I hate to burst your bubble there, Mr. Troy Polamalu, but that was the other rumor today, and it started at, say, about 8 o'clock this morning from Adam Schefter, that the Bears are going to trade, are in talks, or come to the realization that they are going to trade that first-round pick, that they could be in talks. Water's wet. Of course they're going to be in talks. Of course they're going to be inclined to trade that number 1 overall pick, especially with quarterback-starved teams, with the Texans, with the Colts, with the Panthers, with other teams that need a quarterback. The Bears are in prime position. So enough of your nonsense when it comes to Justin Fields.
That's great enough to suck right there.
Honestly, let's go out to Kevin. Nice stick with the flu, but I'm here. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. You're sick with the flu. Okay. I hope you feel better. Kevin says, I'm worried on Trask. I'd rather have a mobile quarterback. Agree on that. Roger says, Troy, you're about to get banned. I'm not in the mood. Troy again. Peter does this for free because he loves it. I do love it, but I don't do it for free for you there, jackass.
This guy sucks.
Let's go out to Mike. Orlando Brown Jr. to replace Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith's going to cost them $10 million if they cut him, and it's certainly a possibility. It certainly seems like it's a possibility at the end of the day to free up cap. What do the Bucs do after that? That's another question I threw out there on the Facebook groups out there. Do you want to go after a Taylor Lewan who just got cut by the Tennessee Titans? Do you want to go after a veteran? Do you want to move Tristan Wirfs from the right side to the left side? Or do you want to draft somebody and play them from the very get-go? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So good comment there. I think it would cost a little bit more money. And I'm not sure if the Kansas City Chiefs are going to allow Orlando Brown Jr. to get out of Kansas City. We need to try to get the best quarterback out there in free agency, and that's Derek Carr. You can restructure contracts, kick the can down the road on the salary cap. I tend to agree with you, but there was a report out there that Carr is looking for in some upwards of $32 million. I don't know if the Bucs are going to be in that contest, although Peter King, who said this Pro Football Talk, says that the Colts are not in it. The Raiders, of course, are not going to be in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. It doesn't look like the Panthers are going to be in the Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. So there's a lot of teams right now, not really looking like they're going to be in this quarterback carousel. But again, it's just talk. It's just rumor, especially when it's $35 million. So I agree with you. I do believe that Derek Carr is the best quarterback out there. I've said that from the very get-go, and the Bucs can provide some cap savings at this juncture, then maybe it's a possibility. But everything that I've heard, and take this with a grain of salt, whatever you want to say, I've talked to some people in the know, and basically what they tell me is Kyle Trask is the guy. Bucs would be stupid to trade Fields. Agree with you on that. Raw is on. Hurry this up. Kevin says, I can see a few cap cuts moving forward. Smith, Brake, Gage, and others. And Corey says Teddy Bridgewater would be interesting for the Bucs. Backup quarterback for Kyle Trask. Bucs Trask still get to start. That's another name that's been bandied about. Of course, that was a name out there before Tom Brady came here that was supposedly going to be in the running to be the starting quarterback. As crazy as that sounds. Tell you what, let's go ahead and get out to our co-host here. Let's get him on. Here we go. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Nine Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. Let's go out to Mr. Leo Haggerty. Leo, welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm hanging in there, Peter, getting better every day, but it's a slow process.
It is a slow process, much like what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their cap situation. A lot of people asking about it. We continue to hear that Kyle Trask is going to be the eventual starter. I'm going to go back to this report, and I want to get your thoughts on it. The Bucs could be looking at these 4 experienced quarterback options to back up and compete with Kyle Trask. Drew Lock, Saints Andy Dalton, Eagles Gardner Minshew, Commanders Taylor Heineke, and now today Carson Wentz. Go ahead and give me a ranking of those guys who you would be interested in, and who do you think the Bucs would be interested 1 through 4 to back up a Kyle Trask or possibly take that starting position away from him in 2023. Welcome to the Evolution.
Well, you know what, Peter? If the Bucs are trying to bring somebody in as a backup, that's a huge mistake.
Okay.
They should be looking at a quarterback who can start. You know, then you got a competition. If you're bringing in somebody and said, okay, you're going to be the backup, man, that's not a competition. I think Gardner Minshew is the number 1 if you're just looking for a backup. But again, I think that's a mistake. Gardner Minshew, Drew Lock would probably be my second choice. And then after that, Peter, throw a blanket over the rest of them. Because now you're getting a guy who, if anything happens to the starting quarterback, is just going to be like the little Dutch boy putting his finger in the dike so the flood doesn't happen.
Well, you look at Taylor Heineke, 12-6 last year, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 34-24 mark. Did some really good things against the Bucs in 2020, and that wild card game, of course, in the postseason really scared the hell out of that Bucs defense. Is he somebody that you're looking at? And if not, if they just hand the job over to Kyle Trask, do you have faith? Do you have big concerns like I do about him getting the starting job in 2023?
Well, Peter, again, 2 words, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, did pretty well. The offensive coordinator has got to tailor the offense to Kyle Trask. And again, it's going to have to be downsized. I think the Buccaneers need to think 60-40 run and then go from there. Because if they're thinking of throwing it 40, 50 times a game, they're losing a lot of games.
Right.
Because that defense cannot withstand being on the field over 12 times.
What was your thought process on Dave Canales' press conference saying that he doesn't necessarily need a quarterback to win games, but basically be a point guard? What do you take from that? I know that Trask is the only quarterback on the roster, but it certainly seems like, and this is reported from Rick Stroud, that Todd Bowles has told offensive coordinator candidates during the interview process that Kyle Trask is going to get the opportunity to compete for the starting quarterback position. Do you feel like they envision with the hiring of Canales and what he did in Seattle with the Geno Smith that he could do the same thing with Trask?
I would hope so. Yeah. And again, I hope Todd Bowles told whoever was interviewing for that job that Trask is going to compete. You know, you didn't draft a guy, too, to sit there all his career. So, you know, it's a nice job. You don't get hurt. You can probably stay in the league for 10 years as a backup quarterback. But, you know, guys want to play. That's the bottom line. And Trask is getting ready. I think you need to look at him and see what's happening.
What do you see? I mean, again, I know he only has 9 starts or 9 snaps, not 9 starts, but 9 snaps. What's the biggest thing that you think he needs to improve on? I mean, going with the quarterback position, because you've been a scout in this league before, you've been in front offices. What is the biggest, toughest transition for a quarterback to basically accomplish when he's the full-time starter or when he's starting some games instead of being a backup? What's the biggest transition, in your opinion, that Trask has to work on?
To not see ghosts. And again, when I say that, Peter, when you drop back in a meaningful NFL game, there are things happening all over the place. You can't see ghosts. You got to trust your offensive lineman. You got to step up in the pocket. Don't try to escape outside. That's what the defense wants you to do. You want to hit your mark, 5 steps, 7 steps, step up, and let the protection handle itself. And again, Peter, this is why I don't think Tristan Wirfs is not moving from that right side because, hey, that's the blind side of a right-handed quarterback. You're not moving Tristan Wirfs. That's a bottom liner, unless they go to a left-handed quarterback. But he's not budging. He's your right tackle.
Yeah, and we're on with Leo Haggerty here. I want to read this comment here. 9 more snaps than Burrow had, but Burrow had, again, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but they let him start. It's not just 9 starts his career. They threw him out there. He started. He got injured, and I understand the fascination with Brock Purdy, but it's an anomaly, Leo word, of quarterbacks coming in their first year. This kid has not even seen a starting game. He's had 9 snaps to his career. So again, I get everybody's like, okay, Brock Purdy did it, so he can do it. It's just not that easy. And why is it not that easy, Leo? Go ahead and explain it to people out there why we have those concerns when it comes to Kyle Trask starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It is like exponentially, my SAT word.
Very nice.
Different from playing college and playing in the NFL quarterback. There are so many things you have to do. The funniest thing, Peter, is you got to identify the Mike linebacker. College, you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the NFL, you got to do that so your center can call the protection. Mike, Ricky Louie. Is the Mike right? Is the Mike left? And that's where you slide the protection. But again, it's something that you just have to get used to because the speed of the NFL is astronomical.
Yeah.
And everything happens so fast. And that's where you hear a lot of quarterbacks say, well, the game's starting to slow down.
Right.
And again, Peter, here's my fear about starting Kyle Trask. What was Peyton Manning his rookie year?
Wow, what did he throw? Like 29 interceptions his rookie year, something along the lines of that?
I'll let it go worse. 1 in 15.
1 in 15, yeah. 1 in 15.
And ended up in the Hall of Fame. So that's not a bad deal. He's going to be enshrined one of these days. But
sure.
Again, when you look at the Bucs, what level quarterback do they need? Do they need Aaron Rodgers? No. They won a Super Bowl with Brad Johnson. Okay.
Right.
They won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Somewhere in between that would make me very happy. And again, Gardner Minshew wouldn't be bad. He still has a little escapability to him. Sure. But you want to look at and again, Peter, until the Aaron Rodgers shoe drops and the Jackson shoe drops, nothing's going to happen because everybody's going to wait and see those two guys. See what I think Baltimore's going to have to franchise him or sit down and just make it a ridiculous offer for like 8-9 years so they can spread the cap money out.
Sure.
But again, the Bucs are in cap hell. There's no way around it. They're going to have to cut some people to get down to where they are. And you start cutting offensive linemen. Let's say you cut Donovan Smith. That's 4/5 of your Super Bowl offensive line gone in 2 years. That's not good.
Well, it's not good, but at the end of the day, he definitely underachieved last year. And I get it. He may have had, some health problems on top of it. His most penalized player, he regressed. I mean, do you look for somebody like a Taylor Lewan who was just cut by the Titans? I mean, you don't know if he's going to play or not. He may retire. Do you look for a veteran, basically a bridge player, and then go at number 19 and get a left tackle? Because I'm not so keen on, starting somebody at left tackle as a rookie, especially with somebody that's a rookie quarterback. And you can sit there and tell me all day long he's been in the league for the last couple of years. He has not started a game, which means he is a rookie quarterback at the end of the day. A rookie left tackle, a rookie quarterback, to me, is not the recipe for success. I tell you what, let's hold off on that question. Let's go out to our phone lines here. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Sports Web. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Yes. Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Bobby Nickel.
Okay. You got the wrong show there. Sorry about that. I don't think that was who she was trying to call. Sorry about that, sis. Trying to call my show. Not good. All right. There we go. Open phone line 727-255 0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. So what do you think? Rookie left tackle at the end of the day, but you get a bridge player, or do you throw okay, we'll hold off on it. Let's go out to Curtis here. Curtis, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty.
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I don't know. What's the conversation for tonight?
Well, the conversation is whatever you want it to be, my friend. I mean, whether it's quarterback Kyle Trask starting, whether it's offensive lineman and cuts with Donovan Smith, freeing up cap, quarterback situations. I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Did we cut Donovan Smith?
Not yet, but it's definitely being talked about a lot.
So here's my thing with Donovan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Leo, I know you got a ton of experience.
Go ahead, Leo.
So here's my hot take on Donovan Smith. I know he went through a lot last year. I know he also is missing Ali Marpet to death, because when he had Ali Marpet next to him, he didn't look half as bad as he looked over the last couple of years as he did last year. Now, my thing with Donovan Smith is, God, I hate to say this.
Mm-hmm.
At least he has some experience. I did hear what you said. I am not about starting a rookie left tackle. And if he's willing to take a pay cut, then he can stay. If he's not willing to take a pay cut, he's got to go.
What do you think here, Leo? Rookie left tackle, get a bridge veteran, or you go in and you get somebody at the left tackle spot as a rookie and you think he's going to play better, and you take your chances with not only a rookie left tackle but a rookie quarterback? Explain why that might be a disaster.
Peter, I agree with you. That's a recipe for disaster. A rookie left tackle and a rookie quarterback. And again, Donovan Smith's penalties will be cut in half with a mobile quarterback. Remember, their job was to make sure nobody hit Tom Brady. They had to hold. And again, there were times 3rd and 15, these guys know he's throwing the ball. Here we come. He had to hold them. So, everybody say, oh, Donovan Smith, bad. The situation dictated that was the problem. Again, what are the Bucs looking at? Bringing in someone, does that improve the situation or not? Big question the Bucs have to answer.
Yeah, definitely a big-time question at the end of the day. And, I mean, Curtis, what would you do at the end of the day with this situation? Would you restructure Donovan Smith and keep him? Would you cut him? Because, again, you're still at $55 million. And I get it. They're in cap hell, but I still think the Bucs can make this happen. They can free up some cap.
I would restructure him and bring him back. Because, I mean, like I said, if he's willing to take a smaller pay cut, then fine, come back. But if he's not willing to do that, then he's got to go. Because at the end of the day, right now, if he's going to stay, he has to prove himself. Because last year, and yes, I agree, there were certain situations. Tom Brady's not mobile, blah blah blah. But those penalties, and me and Peter had a conversation about this.
Too many conversations
about this.
Yes.
A lot of those penalties that he had were bringing touchdowns back. We're bringing first downs back.
Yep.
And that kind of stuff kills drives. It kills the momentum. We were averaging 19 points a game, but half of those games, some of those games I looked at, we were getting 2 and 3 touchdowns called back a game because of penalties.
Yeah, just at critical times. And you're, again, fortunate that some of those critical times you had Tom Brady and then offense to bail you out. And I think I remember the Saints game that comes to mind. You get a penalty there. Looks like a touchdown to Godwin. You pick up a holding penalty. You go back, but still Tom is able to find Rashard White there on that winning touchdown. But those are the things that really hindered this team. And again, it's not just on Donovan Smith. Of course, it was on Brady in the offense. And that's the reason why you fired a Byron Leftwich in the first place, because you only scored 18 points a game. So they have lots of work to do. It's not just on one player. But I think in the grand scheme of things, with the money that he's making, with the savings of $10 million, maybe you go out there, get a bridge veteran for that rookie. Because I think, for me, the biggest move they need to go for, and just because looking at this draft, you got to go with interior line, Leo. And if there's a couple of left tackles out there, which it seems like, there's a plethora, Leo word, out there of tackles, I think you got to take advantage of it this year. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. You got to build from the ball out. And again,
you
build the offensive line, you build the quarterback, and then go from there. But again, Peter, we sat here last year.
Yep.
Before the season started, 3 offensive linemen gone for whatever reason. Nobody believed me. I said 10 wins is going to be tough.
Yeah.
And nobody believed me. Everybody's all 12, 13. I said, no. The NFL doesn't work like that. You got to protect.
I agree with you because even in New England, listen, let me tell you something. Tom Brady, they traded an all-pro left tackle in New England. As long as those 3 interior offensive linemen were there, he was great. He was great.
What Brady did, and people don't realize it, earlier in his career, he wasn't a scrambler, but he was able to step in the pocket and extend plays that way, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need. I mean, you don't need somebody that's overly mobile, but you also can't have a quarterback that at the end of the day doesn't want to get hit. And anytime somebody gets in his face, he goes down because he's getting up there.
He looked like the French army.
He did.
Every time somebody got close, surrender, throw the white flag.
Just surrender, and that's it. The play's over with. So, and you couldn't get those long developing plays, which really hurt this offense. Was the big time key going down the field. And I get it. People want to go short and intermediate, but when you've got weapons out there, you go down the field. That's the drastic difference, if you will, in my opinion, of this offense last year. Not enough time. It definitely starts with the offensive line. And then, of course, the running game. Who knows what they're going to do with the running game.
I got a big question for both of you guys.
Okay.
Let's say the Bears ask for 2 firsts for Fields. Would you give up 2 firsts for Fields?
Yes, absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, I would give up 2 first-round picks for Justin Fields. You've got your quarterback now. You've got your quarterback of the future. I know what this kid can do. I know that he can.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
Right. And I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to trade Justin Fields. That's nonsense at the end of the day. And you heard from Adam Schefter today that the Bucs are willing, or the Bucs. I keep on saying the Bucs. The Bears are willing to trade that number 1 pick or listen to offers at the end of the day. I mean, let me go out to you, Leo. Water is wet. Of course the Bears are going to be interested in listening. Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't you listen? Why wouldn't you listen?
You would absolutely listen.
Listen is not going to hurt.
Right. But I'm thinking the Bears are set on Fields, and they're willing to trade that first overall pick to teams that are desperate for a quarterback. Of course they would. Right, Leo?
Well, the question is, Peter, what are they trading it for? Are they trading it for a player or players? Are they trading it for picks? What's going on? That's the biggest thing. Because let's be honest, the Bears aren't 1 player away. And
no.
Harry, I love you to death, but they're not even close. They need a mittful of guys that want to stay in Chicago. For some reason, it's like Snagglepuss, exit stage right. Let's get out of here. So again, they got to keep people in Chicago. And I'll tell you what, they're looking at being in the cellar. Detroit has gotten better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With Jared Goff's play, yes.
Yeah, and Green Bay is definitely – they can't let Rodgers go or they become a 5-win team. I'm sorry. They got to keep him.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Leo, because I'm going to tell you something. My prediction is Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Now, the question is, what's going to happen with Jordan Love?
Did another year. Aaron Rodgers sat 3 years.
See, to me, and I think Jordan Love is going to ask for a trade. And I think that's where the dissension is in that locker room and in that franchise right now, because they invested a number 1 pick. And I get it. You want to have Aaron Rodgers, but at the end of the day, you also, as the Packers organization, have to see what you have in a Jordan Love because you invested a number 1 pick in him. So
but you know what, guys? Jordan Love hasn't shown he's ready yet. That's just my thing.
Right.
He's got to show he's ready. Again,
Leo,
the Packers moved on from Brett Favre because they thought Aaron Rodgers was ready. Yeah, they rolled the dice.
Right.
Oh, and Peter, guess who had the draft pick before Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers was drafted? Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yes. And by the way, the story is, and we always go through this, John Gruden had Jerry Rice come out to California. Aaron Rodgers was throwing him passes, and Gruden said to Rodgers, as he also lied to Mike Williams at the time, who got drafted by the Lions, which wasn't, it was a good move that the Bucs passed on him because he turned into a fat tight end. Of course, they ended up drafting a Cadillac Williams, but Gruden told Rodgers, "I'm going to draft you," and of course, he lied to him and didn't draft him. And Rodgers sat in the draft room until the 22nd pick there when he got picked by the Packers, and of course, he had to sit for 3 years behind Brett Favre. But it was a good move because they had an established starting quarterback, and I understand where you're coming from with Rodgers, but it's always an up and down thing. And the report has come out. Is he going to be all in? What has changed from last year to this year? This darkness retreat? Darkness is my friend. I mean, I don't understand it. Like, he's never been in the last couple years. What's going to change at the end of the day for Aaron Rodgers to be all in the Packers? He either wants to stay or he wants to go. He never makes a great decision. He never does.
Well, here's my thing. And I know we're on the Jordan Love thing. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't had a chance. But if you look at him and then you look at Trey Lance, they've started the same amount of games.
Right.
The same amount of games.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, when I saw Trey Lance in that one game he played last year, he didn't look too good to me.
No.
He did not look good at all to me.
Well, he's shown flashes of brilliance. Jordan Love against didn't he play against? Who did he play against that he put up some big numbers against?
Hey, Peter.
Yes.
Chris Sims showed flashes of brilliance every once in a while.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
I absolutely agree with that. But again,
so
he's got potential. Let me
Of
ask you this. If Rodgers stays with the Green Bay Packers and the Green Bay Packers call the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and say, do you want Jordan Love? Are you interested in Jordan Love? I'll go to you, Leo. Third round pick. Leo.
Oh, God, no. You're going to have to come up with a first.
No, I'll give you a third.
Yeah, I'll give you a third, but you're not getting that. Green Bay's going to want a first.
Yeah, they're going to want a first round pick. And again, you don't know what you have there in Jordan Love.
Here's my thing.
Yep.
And see, they couldn't have me in the office because I'd be like, you want a first? Show me what I'm paying a first round pick for. Because if anything, I could trade up in the draft and try to take one of these kids coming out now.
Yeah.
And if I'm Green Bay, you know what I said? Go right ahead.
Yep, that's it. But that's the difficulty.
Have at it, big boy.
Right. That's the difficulty. Right.
You want, you don't. So
That's it. All right, good stuff, Curtis. Thanks a lot for the call. Let me go ahead and give you the Macho Man.
Yeah.
Go ahead and use that second call, my friend, if you feel the need. All right?
Yep.
All right, good
Peter,
stuff, Curtis. Yes.
I got to get going, but I got a great story for you.
Sure, go for it.
I'm walking into the Suncoast Credit Union today.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm walking in, this guy walks out, and I look, and I go, that's Ric Flair. So I go, Champ, how you doing? He turns around, I'm doing pretty well. So I walk in, I go, do you know who that was? He said, yeah, that was Ric Flair. I said, yeah. He goes, he comes in all the time. So I guess he's a permanent fixture in Tampa Bay now.
Oh, he is. He's definitely a permanent fixture in Tampa Bay. Of course, part of Gasparilla here just a couple weeks ago. And I believe he just turned 73. That's how you know you're getting old here, guys. Ric Flair is 73 years old, the dirtiest player in the game. I tell you right now, he's not dirty, but we got a legend in our midst here. Give me some final thoughts here, Mr. Leo Haggerty, on the Bucs situation. How do you think this plays out here in the next couple weeks or the next week? Do you think they make any moves? Surprise!
Peter, I don't think they make any moves right away. They're going to wait and see what the landscape looks like as to who's going where and why. See who gets the franchise tag. Played from there. I went out, Peter, last Wednesday to the girls' game at USF. I'm going to go to the men's game.
Nice.
This Wednesday, and it's that girls' team is pretty good. And I asked Jose Fernandez, I said, are you a little disappointed with the media coverage, or are you happy staying under the radar? He said, keep me under the radar. I want to stay under the radar. So, yeah,
Love it.
They're pretty good. And USF men's are starting to turn it around a little bit and go from there. And, Peter, March Madness in another week.
I know. I got to catch up on it. I've been just so football, some hockey there. Of course, the Lightning making a big trade last night. You got the Rays right around the corner, but it's just been Bucs Central and NFL. I've gotta expand my horizons here, my friend. Thanks a lot for your time here.
Peter, I told you with the NFL, there's never an off season. There's just a playing and a non-playing season.
I'm telling you, there really isn't. And I'm getting text messages and I'm posting on Facebook. And I don't know if you heard this or saw this, but 171,000 people, the sports web and the content that we put out there reached last month for Facebook. And you were definitely a part of it, my friend. Thanks a lot for being a part of the evolution of sports talk television. All right.
Have a good one, Peter.
All right. There you go. Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself. By the way, that number has increased to 183,000. How about that? We don't need no stinking radio station or TV station, although it would be kind of cool to have the evolution of sports talk television on one. But we got each other. Call up on the phone lines if you want to talk about Bucs football quarterback situation. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Of course, the new number here, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Let's go back out to some of these comments, especially at left tackle. We went out, we talked about this. I don't know where they're going to go, and I don't know what the solution is. My solution is you cut Donovan Smith. You use that $10 million to free up your cap, and you sign a bridge veteran, if you will, at left tackle. And then you draft somebody at 19, or you draft somebody in the second round, or you draft somebody in the third round, right? Because you got Donovan Smith in the second round, and he's been up and down at the end of the day. Again, he's had his own flashes of brilliance, right? Played well in the Super Bowl year, and then after that, not so much. So you need to fill that position, but how do you do it? Let me go out to Mr. Curtis. Curtis, using your second call, welcome back to the evolution. What do you have to say, my friend?
Okay. And I love the quarterback talk. I love the left tackle. We need to talk about our whole secondary is free agents, except for Winfield and Davis.
Right. Well, Winfield, Davis, you have Dean, who could be possibly franchised. I don't know how they would be able to do that, but that was a report out there from Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Of course, it would cost them $18 million. You've got Sean Murphy-Bunting. You've got both of the safeties there, Keanu O'Neal and Logan Ryan, most likely out.
I like Logan Ryan. I wish he could stay healthy.
Right. But that's the problem. That guy is
a playmaker.
He can't stay healthy. And then on top of it, he's a little bit long in the tooth. Right.
Yep.
So you got to get younger at that situation. So again, is that a need at 19? And there's so many needs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19.
That's a need. And I just want to say this, and I hate to say this. God, I can't believe it. JTS, this is a make or break year for you, sir.
It is a make or break year. You're not saying anything. You're preaching to the choir here on the sports web. What did he do last year?
No, disappoint?
Nothing. He didn't do anything last year. I mean, he didn't do anything last year. He did zero. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nope.
I mean, listen, and I understand, I was watching stuff today and they were talking about, it was Brady's team last year. This is Todd Bowles' year to prove it.
Yeah.
This is Todd Bowles' year to prove it.
He's got to prove himself. And the most difficult thing is you're in cap trouble. You have a quarterback that's only taken 9 snaps in the national. And everybody's like, Pete, you should be happy. You should be happy because you're going to get a chance to see what he's got. Okay. At what expense? Yep. At the expense of being a bad team, at the expense of being a 3 or 4 win. Because listen, if you're 7 or 8, he better be your future quarterback. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if he's 7 or 8 win team and you're making it into the playoffs, you're not getting one of the top quarterbacks next year unless you're trading the house.
Well, so here's my thing, Peter. We've been watching football for a long time.
A long time. And how many Bucs quarterbacks have we seen promise and potential and everything? And I get it. Everybody's like, well, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Okay, I'm going to give him a chance. But if it doesn't work out, more than likely in 1 year, he's either out of here The coaching staff is out of here. The GM is out of here. You're starting all over again. Do you want to do that? I'm not one that wants to, but I'm telling you how it is here.
And here's the thing. With the signing of the new OC, you're basically taking a rookie OC and a rookie quarterback and you're putting them together.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it is are we going to simplify the offense? Are we going to – because here's the thing. And, you know, our running game is not great. But we have receivers. We have talent on offense.
Sure.
But you know, and listen, we know we all had the no risk it, no biscuit, and then the Tom Brady effect. But we need to find the identity of this offense. This offense had no identity last year.
Nope.
None. Except for they knew we were going to drop back and pass the ball.
Yep.
I mean, come on. Tom Brady, his last game of his career, he throws the ball 66 times. Are you serious? Nobody could have predicted.
It's not going to get it done. You got to have balance to your
Ever.
offense. I think that was the most encouraging thing from Dave Canales' press conference is the fact that you're going to focus on that run game. The most encouraging thing is you're coming from a system, even though you didn't call plays from the Pete Carroll tree, right? 4.8 yards a carry for running backs in Seattle. That's impressive. What did the Bucs average last year?
And mind you, let me tell you this. Seattle goes and picks running backs in the third, fourth round, and these guys are 1,000-yard running backs.
I mean, you don't have to draft a first-round running back. Of course, that's being talked about right now with Bijan Robinson out of Texas, who could be a special talent at 19. That number 19 number bothers the hell out of me because every time we talk about it, it always goes back to 2017 when you draft O.J. Howard and you have Dalvin Cook, and everybody in the Rama is saying you don't draft Dalvin Cook at 19.
Listen, we took somebody else at 19.
Yes, O.J. Howard.
No. Before him. I'm going to tell you who I think it was.
At 19, who?
I think it was Aqib Talib.
Well, wait, that's way back.
I know that, but I'm just saying, I don't like the number 19 either because Talib was good a couple of years he was here.
Well, he's the most talented corner in the draft at the time. Even Rondé Barber had that to say. He told Pewter Report that before. Most talented player, most talented corner. The problem was he couldn't keep his nose clean off the field when he was with the Bucs.
Oh, man.
That was the problem. And you had the same red flags in college at Kansas.
Yep.
There was never any question about talent. He always had the talent. He just couldn't stay out of trouble. Whether it was, running around with his family with guns and doing a bunch of nonsense, drugs, this and that and the other thing. I mean, that has to play into it. The combine is this week. They're going to do those interviews. It has to all play in it. You can't just sit there and say, well, the guy won. He's got talent. We're going to look beyond it. Because if you do that, and he's not the right guy for your franchise, then basically you're talking about a bust.
So who's the big four quarterback? I know you got Bryce Young.
Yep.
You got the kid from Ohio State. Who else?
C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson has been talked about. I mean, the rumor is that he could go number 1 overall, and I think it's a great rumor, and I tell you why, because there are going to be teams that are going to look at this kid and say, you know what? He's got all the measurables, right? 6'4", 6'5", can throw the ball.
Where's Anthony Richardson from?
Well, besides his mother, Florida.
Oh, he played for the Gators?
Yes, he played for the Gators. Yes. I had to throw the joke in there. Yes.
Oh, God. I hate you.
Yes.
I love you so much.
So you asked me where he's from. I had to throw it out there, man. Yes.
That's my boy right there.
Yeah, 6'4", 6'5". I mean, he's inconsistent, but what people are going to look at when they see the combine, he's got everything that you want in a quarterback these days, right? He's a bigger version of Lamar Jackson. He could be Josh Allen. He could be Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at when you're talking about quarterbacks.
The question is, Pete.
Yeah.
If one of these quarterbacks start falling, do we move up and go get him? Let's say this kid Richardson starts falling.
I don't think it happens. I mean, not with his potential.
Right. You never think it's going to happen.
Right.
But
I think there's too many teams out there that are desperate for a quarterback, and that's why the Bears are in prime position.
Who's the last guy? Who's the last guy falling?
And we were going to talk about him tonight. Will Levi out of Kentucky. Now, he's been rumored to be the 4th quarterback, and CBS Sportsline has him going in a mock where the Bucs trade up. I don't see the Bucs doing that. I don't see them trading up for a quarterback. I don't see that. No. That doesn't make any sense to me. at all.
Well, it depends on what the combine looks like.
Right. Well, it depends on it. I mean, that would tell me everything you need to know about Kyle Trask. If you trade up for a young quarterback and you have Kyle Trask on this roster, forget it. He's not the guy. You already know at that point.
Absolutely.
So,
and the thing about it is it's like this draft right here is going to make or break our season, because guess what? We can't go out and sign all these free agents.
Yeah.
We can't go out in free agency and make a splash like we've been making over the last couple of years. Now, I take my hat off to Jason Light because he knows how to move some things around.
Sure.
And Jason Light, he's done it over the last couple of years. He's done a great job as a GM.
Right.
So, we can move some stuff around, but this is going to be make or break for us. And I mean, we really need to do our homework on all these guys this year. Like, we've spent a lot of draft picks on a lot of trash.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, the last couple of years there, Logan Hall was not good last year. There's been a couple players that weren't good. I mean, JTS hasn't been good. We talked about him. He hasn't shown up at this juncture. I mean, I get it, they're kids, but you're expecting what? The 2020 draft, where you get two players, Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. to come in right away and contribute. You haven't had that the last couple of years. And to be fair to Jason Light, you're picking last overall. So it's going to be tough.
Oh, man, what was I finna say?
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's on the tip of my tongue. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've wasted a lot of second-round picks with Jason Light. A lot of second-round picks. Because a lot of those kids aren't even on this team anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I don't even want to talk about Roberto Aguayo. Let's not even talk about that. It's not. It's just, I'm still crying about that.
Well, I was surprised that they took the full cap hit, because I think the Bucs anticipated that either A, he was going to come back, or B, they were going to spread it out. And it looks like Jason Light has said, you know what, we're going to take the full cap hit at this juncture. We're going to have a bad year. We're going to go with Kyle Trask, see what he has. Maybe he don't have a bad year. Maybe Kyle Trask is the answer. Maybe he is the answer to every Bucs prayer, every Bucs fan's prayers at this juncture, because you don't know. He did perform at the. I have major concerns, and
I don't listen.
It has to be shown to me before I'm gonna.
I'm not biased,
right?
But I've never trusted any quarterback that's come from the University of Florida. I'm sorry. I just
don't trust a lot of young quarterbacks, and this is going to come up next year too. If you do draft a quarterback, people are going to be like, "Well, he's the next coming." There's going to be some bumps in the road, right? I mean, again, first-year quarterbacks don't come into the league and set the world on fire. They just don't do that. So to expect that with Kyle Trask, because he's been under Tom Brady for the last couple of years, or because you have these weapons, that's a fair assumption, but it doesn't really happen. Brock Purdy, once again, is a rare case, if you will.
Can somebody call Jameis Winston?
I mean, that's a possibility. He's out there. Do I think the Bucs embrace him? No, I don't think they bring him back. I don't know if Jameis Winston would even want to come back here. Right. Such a controversial figure, such a controversial time with turnovers. Maybe he just wants a clean slate. Maybe he wants another team at the end of the day. He's coming off injuries to his back and his knee and everything else. I feel bad for the kid, because it seems like he's improved, but he still is plagued by the turnover situation. And that's what teams are going to consider and say, okay, is he going to come in here and be a starter? Is he going to come in here and be a backup? More than likely, he's looking for a starting job, but more than likely, he's going to be a backup to a starter, and he's going to try to prove himself at the end of the day. What else, Curtis?
What are your Rays going to do this year?
They're going to do what they always do. They're going to surprise everybody. They're going to have talented pitching, but they're not going to be able to hit a lick. And then when they didn't spend any money on any hitters at all, Curtis. So I'll tell you what,
they're going to have a mediocre to great season.
Hold on, Curtis. Let me put you on hold really quick. Craig, I got you on hold. I'm going to finish up with Curtis here, and then we'll get out to you. All right, stand by. All right. Let's finish up with Curtis here, because we got Craig on the line from Las Vegas. Their pitching staff 1 through 5 is tremendous, right? I mean, but now Glasnow has an oblique injury, so you don't know how long he's going to be out for. But I mean, shocking development that Glasnow once again is hurt, which hurts this pitching staff. But overall, they have the depth. If they can play pitching and you have pitching and defense, I don't know what to think of this Major League Baseball season, because this pitching clock garbage is this complete nonsense. I think it's going to change the game. I'm a purist. I hate it. I feel like if you're trying to speed up the game, you're wrong. This is not football. This is baseball. There's a total difference to it.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I'm gonna tell you something. We're going to see I feel like we're going to see a lot of ejections, and it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers.
Yep.
Because them pitchers, they get mean.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
man, I'll probably call you later, man. Probably check up on some WrestleMania because this wrestling's getting crazy, man.
Wrestling is getting crazy, my friend. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you. Woo! Curtis, thanks a lot for the call. Let me go out to Craig from Las Vegas. Welcome to the Evolution. What do you have to say about the Bucs quarterback situation? Who do you want? I threw it out there, the 4 names. Taylor Heineke, Gardner Minshew, Andy Dalton. Now add to the list Carson Wentz. Drew Lock. Are these any names at the end of the day that you think can compete with the Kyle Trask? Welcome to the Sports Web.
I don't think any of them are any good. There's a reason why they're not starters in this league right now. I think Heineke is a great backup. I think Carson Wentz is beat up from all the beating he took in Philly. Noah Locke, I mean, if he didn't win the job against Geno, and listen, I know Geno's going to get paid, but Geno's not that good. Come on, the guy was a journeyman until last year.
Well,
caught lightning in a bottle for a little bit with a running game last
that
year.
Right there is the positive factor of hiring a Dave Canales, right, as your offensive coordinator, because he was the quarterback coach of Geno Smith. He turned him into a Pro Bowler, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So, there's some room for optimism at the end of the day. Maybe he could do the same thing with the Kyle Trask. Maybe he could do the same thing with some other quarterbacks that we mentioned, a Gardner Minshew. I would favor him, even though his record stinks. He was with Jacksonville and Philadelphia, really didn't get an opportunity. He could throw the ball. He could make some things happen. I would go with him. A Heineke, definitely the way he played against the Bucs in 2020 in the playoff game, he definitely showed some flashes of brilliance. I'm going to take them all over an Andy Dalton. I've had enough of Andy Dalton. I don't care. Andy Dalton to me, even a Carson Wentz. I know he got cut today. There's a reason why he's out there, because when the Commanders needed a game to win, he threw a career-high 3 interceptions this year against the Cleveland Browns. So, that's not going to get it done.
I think, honestly, I think, listen, you invest in a second-round pick, you're going to have to see if it works out or not.
Yeah.
There are guys that are drafted much lower than, look at even last year, Brock Brady, who showed up being good under the right system. So, and I also think a quarterback, not that Kyle Trask is a mobile quarterback, but I think he's not like Tom was.
Right. So he's not a statue. Right. He can move.
Statue.
He can scale the pocket a little bit. So, again, that's the encouraging thing. How do you feel about Kyle Trask, Craig? How do you feel about him?
Listen, I'm going to be you're not going to like, I'm a Gator. So listen, I think everywhere he's gone, he sat behind people.
Okay.
In high school, he sat behind King in high school. He wasn't a highly rated guy when he came to Florida. He sat behind Felipe Franks and others. But when the lights are on and the game is live, he's a real player. He went toe to toe with Mac Brown up with the Patriots in the SEC title game. He went toe to toe.
Mac Jones, Mac Jones of Alabama.
Mac Jones. Yep. So Mac Jones, yes.
Yep.
So he had elite talent. So he had Kyle Pitts, who's so underused in Atlanta. He had Kadarius Toney. Look at what Kadarius Toney does in the right offense, like he did in the Super Bowl. He changed the game with the punt return.
Right. And
he scored easily. I mean, he changed that game. You put him with elite talent. He still had, I'll forget the other receiver who transferred from Ohio State, who was a really good receiver. You put him with elite talent, which I do think the Bucs have. He's yet to play with the ones. So he hasn't thrown a Mike in a real game. He hasn't thrown a Chris in a real game.
That's a fair point. That's a fair assessment. That's absolutely a fair assessment.
So you're going to have to eventually see what you have. You spent a second-round pick, and if you're going to be in a cap situation, you might as well see what happens next year and go with them and see what you got. If it doesn't work out, the draft actually, I think, gets better the following year because you do have Caleb Williams available then too. And I think also more guys become available in the free agent market. And you have, at that point, you're back to cap normalcy. If you need to make a trade or you get a quarterback like that's unhappy out there that wants to get paid, you know what? The Bucs will have, at that point, they have room too. I think as much as the quarterback situation is, I think there's some key pieces that are still young in this team. They're going to, my still say is, what do you do with Devin White? and that $11 million hit for a guy who gave up an awful lot in the past, and a middle linebacker. And this time, in this, the way the NFL is right now, a middle linebacker is not the one that makes the defense go. It's the guys that are better in coverage. His coverage is awful. He's a great blitzer.
I agree.
But his pass coverage is covered. And that's a lot to fork out 11, 12, even $15 million.
Well, you've got $100 million
linebacker.
possibly. I mean, that's what we heard when White was getting drafted at LSU, that he was going for a $100 million contract. And we know that the market value of linebackers and every other player in the league has gone up. So you definitely have some decisions to make. And it starts right there with White, who, I get it, he lost his father last year. He's having some personal problems. Didn't necessarily play the best. Didn't play the best the year before when Levante David wasn't 100%. But this has got to be the leader of your defense. And if you're going to pay him an excess of over $100 million or $100 million, he has to step up and play a lot better than he has. And that comes not only down to getting after the passer, but also, you're exactly right, when it comes to coverage.
Yeah. So I think he's a key piece. I would, if I'm the Bucs now, I would try to lock up Winfield long term. I think that's a key piece that you need right now, and over Devin White, because it seems when Winfield's in the game more so, things settle down a little bit more with that defense. But overall, with Todd being on the hot seat this year, I know last year wasn't all his fault,
right?
But to me, I know it's his second year of a 5-year deal. I know at one point when he was at DC, the full time, the defense was much better. If you just don't believe this guy's going to get it done, I mean, is he the sacrificial lamb this year, or say just cleared house and just started over and said, listen, we're going to have to take our lumps for a couple of years. We might as well have it with a head coach that we know maybe down the road can win a Super Bowl for us. Because I don't think anybody in that organization can tell you Todd is the one that's going to lead us back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say, because I'm not the biggest Todd Bowles fan, but I love what he could do with the defense. But for me as a head coach, he has to make better decisions, especially when it comes to clock managing. He has to prove on that. And was that the fact of not necessarily having his own staff? Well, that's what the Glazers have basically told you. That's what Jason Light has told you, because they have allowed Todd to hire his own staff, which is fair. That wasn't his staff last year. So he's going to have every opportunity to get it done this year. It's just, that's why I say you go with the veteran, because at least I know what you're getting with the veteran. You don't have to go through, the training wheels exercise, if you will, with the rookie quarterback. And that is what Kyle Trask is. He's a freaking rookie quarterback. And I'm not sure how many wins that equates with the Bucs in 2023. I'm just not sure.
Yeah. And my other thing too about the defense and Todd is, if I hear one time again, there's communication issues on the back end.
There can't be any communication issues. Enough with the communication issues. It's either you get it right, you don't blow coverages, or somebody needs to be fired at the end of the day. And you're exactly right. Todd Bowles is absolutely on the hot seat at the end of the day. He's absolutely on it, because he's getting everything he wants at the end of the day. And he was disappointing. Even though this team made the playoffs and won the NFC South, they underachieved. So is it fair? That's what I'm looking at. Like, does he know that, have the Glazers given him another year? Say, okay, you go with Kyle Trask, we'll give you another year, and then we'll give you an opportunity to have your own quarterback. I mean, how is this plan going to work out? Because you would agree that this is not a rebuild. I mean, they have talent there. You have Evans, you have Godwin. We've talked about it. You have Devin White on the defense, and possibly Levante David back and Antoine Winfield. It's not like, the cupboard is bare. Right, you have talent. So which is it?
And you have a above average offensive line with Ryan Jensen stays healthy.
Right,
and you can move Haynes into a guard spot where he's more natural. And if you're going to let go of Donovan Smith, which is fine, I'm okay with that, because I think that's a big hit for someone who played as bad as he did last year. I still say you're going to have an above average line, and it has to be able to run the ball.
Yep.
And I don't, there's something that didn't happen this year. And I understand Jensen wasn't there all year, but there's something not right in the blocking teams, or some way, somehow. Hopefully the new OC will doesn't tip his hand like as much as Byron did.
Right.
But there's just something wasn't right all year. From Tom with the divorce and everything else,
There was
Peter,
so much noise, and so many distractions, and it started from the very get-go when the season started. When Tom retired and then came back, and then you had BA go off into the sunset and retire, and now Todd Bowles has taken over the staff, and then Tom's missing the 10 or 11 days. All that stuff adds up, and it just seemed like there was constant noise. And again, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Tom's going through a divorce. He's the starting quarterback. You depend on him probably too much. You didn't do enough around him when it came to offensive line. You didn't do enough with the depth. But how could you know that Ali Marpet was going to retire? How could you know that Ryan Jensen was going to get hurt and you're going to replace him with this offensive lineman? So there were so many things. It wasn't just the line or the running game. It's the distractions in general. It was just a season where you were just so fortunate to be in the NFC South, because if you're in any other division, you're finishing last place. You're most likely not having 8 wins at the end of the day. They were fortunate to have that. It was a terrible division. They were fortunate with that, but they definitely underachieved with the talent they have. So it's just so much noise last year. So much.
Pete, let me give you one last name for the quarterback room.
Sure.
This year.
Yeah.
I think you bring back Blaine Gabbert. I think he's got timing with the receivers. He's kind of like that Geno Smith, who's been kind of a journeyman. It was at one point was a top pick. I think he'll come in under budget, because that's what you do need right now too. I think this is Blaine Gabbert's best chance to compete for a starting position anywhere he would go next year.
You would take him over Trask at this point?
No, I would say I would let those two battle it out.
Okay.
Because I think if you go with Gabbert, and if he is, he's got the timing now with the receivers. I think that's a big key piece right now. Because even in listen, I know it was a very small substance that we saw in Atlanta. He had a couple nice throws in there. And, you never know if this guy Canales can fix Geno Smith, maybe he can do the same thing with one of these guys too. The only other guy I would ever bring in right now, and just because the talent's there, but boy, above the shoulders is you just don't know what you get.
Sure.
Is Baker Mayfield. The guy was the number 1 overall pick. And when he was under what's his name? Who's the Georgia
Todd Monken.
When he was under Todd Monken, he played really, really well. And that's one guy, it's a good OC, it's a guy with a lot of talent. I don't know if last chance he has to really be a starter league. That's the one guy I would bring in, just because he has shown signs of brilliance in getting a team into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on that. I definitely think that's an intriguing possibility, especially with him being a number 1 overall pick. He has the potential. We've seen him be successful before. Maybe you put the weapons around him, a new offensive coordinator, change the scenery at the end of the day. It's a great point. Anything else here, Craig, from Las Vegas?
No, man, I'm excited to see what happens in the combine. And listen, everybody's reading doom and gloom for next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Sometimes addition by subtraction is not a bad thing too. I think if the team gets a little bit younger and maybe some guys that are a little more hungry, you never know. I think that Super Bowl hangover was probably still around a little bit,
right?
Even to this year,
right? And
then they just were hoping to turn it on when it came to the playoffs, and it just didn't happen.
But you
never know.
Yep, you never know. Good stuff, Craig. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Use that second call if you want to, my friend. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution. All right. Good stuff there from Craig. Love him as he always brings it here on the Evolution. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to read these comments. I don't want to neglect you tonight. Want to take phone calls and continue on with this show, but definitely want to read these comments as we talked about Teddy Bridgewater. Good stuff there. Corey, Derek Carr would be a good fit for the Dolphins or the Colts. The Dolphins, he's not going there. They're definitely committed to Tua. The Colts, again, this comes out from Peter King of Pro Football Talk. They're not going to be interested in him, but still a good comment by Corey.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Ask Leo if there's any O-line in this draft. There's plenty of O-line in this draft, and we'll get a breakdown here in the next couple weeks of it. Of course, the combine going on this week, so you're definitely going to hear about it. And I think that is a prime position that the Bucs have to look at, whether they keep Donovan Smith or not. Let's say they keep Donovan Smith. I still think you look at an offensive lineman on the board. And I think Jason Light, it would behoove him to look at one with all the injury issues and the depth issues you had last year with this team. Do you think we could trade Barrett to free up some cap space, draft somebody, replace him, and try to go after Geno Smith? Good question by David. I don't think there's any trade value at this juncture for Barrett. He's coming off an injury. Furthermore, I think he's still an integral part of this defensive line. And get it, he's making a lot of money, and there's certainly a possibility for, once again, of him getting his contract restructured. But again, he's coming off an injury, so I don't know how much value you're going to get. Corey says, do you think the Bucs saying Trask is the starter is a smokescreen? I was thinking that. And it goes back to what BA said, on Radio Row. We like Kyle Trask. He's great, but we're going to look behind door number 2. But the more I talk to people, the more I look at this thing and this situation play out, it certainly seems like it's not a smokescreen that they're going to give Trask every opportunity to be the eventual starter in 2023. Got to get back, especially at left tackle. Thank you, Christopher Cole. Cooper Rush for the Bucs. I don't think Dallas is going to allow him to leave. He is a good backup. He did put up good numbers last year, and there still is major question marks with Dak Prescott. Believe it or not, even with the money that he's making. Colts will have a rookie. Dolphins already have a quarterback. Good stuff there, Cole.
Oh, yeah.
David says, don't you think this new offensive coordinator, by being a new offensive coordinator, would want to bring in a quarterback that fits the system because he didn't draft Kyle? Absolutely. I mean, and that's the danger, because already you're talking about a young quarterback that's learning a new system. That's 2 systems now. So does that kill his development? I mean, that's that, and you're exactly right. Drew Lock knows his system. So he's definitely a candidate. Geno Smith knows this, the system from Seattle. Because again, he hasn't called the plays, right? He has not called the plays. He's going to be a new offensive coordinator. He's going to call his own system, but you would think that somehow it would duplicate Seattle's style in some way, shape, or form. So let's see here. 9 more snaps than Burrow had. I get it. Read that comment, whoever that is on the hub. Thank you very much for tuning in. And whoever it was, thank you. Trask can't throw outside the hashes, man. Bubble gum arm. Can't throw nothing even in breaking. Couldn't beat out Gabbert. Come on, man. I agree with you. You're preaching again. That's where I'm at with Trask. He couldn't beat out Gabbert. And people go, well, you're being unfair. Not really. Because I'll equate this example. Kansas City Chiefs had Alex Smith. He took them to the playoffs. He was a veteran. I get it. You have Tom Brady. You don't necessarily turn the page. But if Kyle Trask is the guy, please let him beat out Blaine Gabbert. And that's where I'm at. He's not able to beat out Blaine Gabbert. Well, he's not gotten a chance. Well, they watch him in practice. They watch him in the drills. They know what they're looking at. We've heard the term of deliberate learner. You know, to me, that's a slow learner. That's not necessarily a good thing. The advantage, I guess you would say, is now he's switching a new system. So he's going to have every opportunity. And I think that played a part in the reason why they hired Dave Canales in the first place. Because overall, you're thinking, okay, what he did with Geno Smith and what he tried to do with Drew Lock, maybe he can duplicate that success with Kyle Trask. Let's go out to Sit, and I feel you on that one. Trask Force. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to David here, Mr. Leo. What's your honest opinion on if we should try to bring back Winston or not, knowing he's already had chemistry with most of our wide receivers? I think Leo, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see that. We'll try to work on that next time to get those comments out, David. But I think Leo would say there was no chance that Jameis Winston is coming back to this organization. I think they've turned the page. I know what everybody wants him to come back and everything's going to be all the same. I think they're turning the page on that. But he will be out there. It certainly seems like he's going to be out there. The Saints are going to cut him loose. Smith is gone, in my opinion. Here's the problem. Paul Gruber isn't walking through that door. Is restructuring an option? Absolutely. Restructuring is an option if they choose to do that, but they could also save a $10 million. So again, are they going to go for a veteran bridge type of player? Because look, offensive linemen aren't growing on trees. They're not going to let a great left tackle out there in free agency go for just nothing. You're going to have to get a veteran. You draft somebody. You develop that rookie for that veteran to play for that year. Eventually get that rookie in, and there you got your starting left tackle. while keeping Tristan Wirfs on the right side. Or you move Wirfs to the left side and you draft a right tackle. For me, it's much easier to draft a right tackle than necessarily a left tackle. And the reason why is because a left tackle has to protect the blind side of the quarterback. So there's a main job. You have to find a cornerstone tackle. It's tough to do that. It's tough for tackles to transition over because basically you're facing, the top rusher, the speed rusher. You got to have speed, agility. You got to have great technique, which is what we talk about Donovan Smith not having on this team, not being able to put it out there consistently, which is the reason why he's picking up penalties last year left and right. Nobody can tell me that's great technique by grabbing somebody around the neck. That's a WWE move. That's not great. That's not great blocking. It's not going to get it done. And maybe the reason why the Bucs are going to move on because they say, you know what? We invested a second round pick in him. Jason Light is not bashful with knowing that he's making a mistake and turning the page on somebody. We've seen enough. We want to move on. We want to upgrade. We think that a veteran will be better at that point. Drafting a left tackle for the future, that's going to be better going forward. Plus, it'll cost us less money. That may be where they're thinking at the end of the day. We'll see. Let's go out to Cole. Not a snowball's chance in Florida. I think he's talking about Winston.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. 13 million. Smith can't stay. How can they pay? They can make it happen if they want to make it happen. Again, restructuring deals. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything about the cap situation, but I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that doom and gloom, the sky is falling, the Bucs are going to be broke because they're going to get this cap under by March 15th in order to do business. They have to do that. So are they going to spend as much as other teams? Are they going to be like the Chicago Bears that has $98 million? No, but they're going to be able to still do business. And more than likely, you're going to have a lot of the players that were on this team gone. And why wouldn't you want those players gone? You were an underachieving team. I hate to tell you, I'm positivity Pete here, but we got to be realistic about this. This was an 8-10 football team that made the playoffs, but they weren't very good. So people losing sleep on losing this player and losing that player, you need to get young. Maybe it's time for a culture change here with Todd Bowles talking about this a couple months ago, which was a red flag in my book. Who wants to be here? Who doesn't? That's not a good thing. Players need to accept the responsibility if they want to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer and go out there and perform at the highest ability. If they can't do that, then they don't need to be on this team. People losing sleep over that, it's amazing to me. They're going to lose the majority of some of these players. The guys that you should focus on, in my opinion, Jamel Dean, young corner, can you pay him? $18 million franchise tag, you may get more in the open market. Levante David, veteran stalwart, right? Consistent. You want him to be a Buck of all time, but here's the thing. How much is it going to cost going forward? Can you afford to pay it? William Golston, a Nacho. I mean, those are the type of players. Maybe a Nelson. Then after that, it kind of gets, I don't know if we're going to bring some of these players back. The cornerback situation with Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting will be interesting in itself. I think you should bring back Dean. I don't know if you can afford it, right? I'm not sure if you can. Let's go out to Kevin. No way on Jameis. Nope. Kevin again. He crapped on the team once he left. Not a fan of that. Kevin again. I would do that for Fields, 2 first-round picks. I would too. I don't think it's going to happen because I still think Justin Fields is one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league. Period. Did you see what he could do with his legs? He just needs to throw from the pocket consistently. The Bears need to do a better job of building the offensive line and putting weapons around. Oh, they got a plan. Trust me, with that report coming out today about them being open for business, that's the reason why you're open for business. You're not going to take one player. One player's not going to help this team. You're going to have multiple players help this team and multiple positions. They have the best of both worlds, you see. They have not only free cap space, opened up all kinds of cap space, but also draft capital, which they can parlay little Harry the Greek action there, gambling term. They can parlay that pick into multiple picks, into multiple players, into multiple cornerstones, building blocks for the organization, which they can build upon in the next couple years. That's what the Bears are looking at. You could go from 2, which is what you want to do. You want to go from 2, and then you want to be in still a prime position where there is a quarterback on the board. The more quarterbacks that are on the board, the more teams that will be calling. The more teams that are calling, the more they get desperate. The more they get desperate, the more they give up. See how that works out? That's what the Bears want. That's what they anticipate. That's why all this nonsense of, well, they're going to trade Justin Fields. No, they're not. They're not going to trade Justin Fields. They're not. They are not trading Justin Fields. If they did, I would give them 2 first-round picks. Take your chances with Young from Alabama. Questions about him. Size, he needs to put on some weight. Can he endure the rigors of the National Football League? C.J. Stroud. I mean, Anthony Richardson has potential. Will Levi has potential. But you got a guy right there that showed you that he is on the trajectory of possibly being one of the best young quarterbacks in the league with what he can do. You've got to put more around him. Just my thought. All right, Curtis, go ahead. What do you have to say? Welcome back.
Well, the Bears, I think the Bears are trying to sit back and wait. They're trying to strike it rich like Seattle did with Denver. Because let's go on and just say this. That Russell Wilson trade, that trade has to be one of the biggest trades I've seen in my lifetime.
It's got awful. It's got awful right now.
And
did you see the report, Curtis? And we didn't get a chance to mention this, but this is from The Athletic, where Russell Wilson was trying to get Pete Carroll fired and trying to get the general manager fired, and basically they traded him.
I saw it.
Yeah.
And dude, okay, I can't exactly remember what it was, but they gave up Drew Lock, a top rated tight end.
Yep.
Defensive end or defensive
Noah
tackle,
Fant, Shelby Harris, go ahead.
And like 4 draft picks.
Correct. And they're sitting pretty, and they made the playoffs last year with Geno Smith. Yeah.
And they still got a top 5 pick.
Right.
Because of Denver.
Yep.
Or maybe the Bears want to be like who was that Washington traded all those picks for RG3?
I'm trying to think. Who was it?
It wasn't the Rams because it might have been the Rams. I think Jeff Fisher was with the Rams.
I think it was the Rams. But you can get all the picks you want to. I mean, you're like the Cleveland Browns. You got all these picks and you miss out on them, right? I mean, it only gives you so much. You can get all the picks you want to, but you got to hit on those picks.
Of course. But I'm just saying, like, that's what the Bears are trying to do. They're trying to accumulate as much as they can. But listen, everybody's not going to fall for the okie doke like Denver did. Because I can promise you 2 things. If Sean Payton would have been there before that trade happened with Russell Wilson still would have been in Seattle right now. Or he would have been somewhere else.
Right.
Sean Payton wouldn't have gave that shit up for no damn.
But that's the reason why you get a Sean Payton in the first place, because you're trying to get accountability. Who did they hire last year? Nathaniel Hackett? I mean, what's he know? Oh, well, he was Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator, so we're going to be able to duplicate that success. No, it doesn't happen like that. Offensive coordinators don't always work out. They don't always transition to the head coaching job.
I think if Fields gets traded, I think 2 first-round picks is the most they're going to get for him. I think, honestly, they would take a first and a couple seconds. I really think they would. Because here's the thing. They need some talent in Chicago. But, also at the same time, who's to say they don't trade out of that first-round pick to put talent around Fields?
Right.
Because, I mean, I'm gonna just say this: they got ripped off with the Chase Claypool, the Chase Claypool, or whatever that kid. I
like the move. I like the move. I still think he has potential.
I like the move, but what, like Harry said, nobody else is gonna give them a second round pick. for Claypool.
I don't know
except for
about
Chicago.
that. I don't know about that. I think there'll be plenty of teams out there that would have given. Look, if he realizes his potential, and that's what it comes down to, right? It's potential. It's the most overly used word. And he has potential. We've seen it. We've seen it what he did against the Bucs last year when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big body receiver, speed. Can he catch consistently? Can he make the right decisions on and off the field? That's the big time question.
But the problem with the NFL is the NFL is hit or miss anyway. I mean, dude, Amari Cooper got traded for a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
You don't think Dallas was they don't think they regretted that all last season? They would have gave up their 1st round pick to have Amari Cooper back last year.
Sure they would have.
Of course they would have.
They paid too much for Dak. That's what happens when you pay a quarterback that much money.
We're not even going to talk about that guy. Listen, I keep telling people.
Yep.
I personally don't have a vendetta against Dak, but the proof is in the pudding. He always has good stats, but most of his stats are padded because they're always either blowing somebody out or they're behind and they're trying to catch up.
Consistently, he was bad last year when it comes to interceptions, and that just can't happen. If you're going to pay that quarterback that much money and make him the leader of your team, the leader of your offense, he has to play better than that. And they were absolutely hurt by Tony Pollard going out of the game, because if Tony Pollard doesn't go out of the game against San Francisco, we may be talking about Dallas versus Philadelphia instead of San Francisco. I mean, that changed the whole complexion of the game. And they have their own decision to make with Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott, and I think they're going to move on from Elliott and franchise Pollard.
Well, don't forget, remember, didn't they all-pro left tackle get hurt too?
Yes.
And then they brought in some other kid who was damn near just as good.
Cooper Rush, yeah. Played well,
No.
The
left tackle.
Oh, left tackle. I'm trying to think.
They got the big guy, Smith.
Yes,
but
Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, I believe his name is too.
They had another kid come in named Smith, and he played just as good.
Yeah, Tyler Smith. Yes,
so
you're exactly right.
What are they going to do with Tyron Smith?
That's interesting. He can't stay healthy though, right?
Well,
maybe he's a cap. Maybe he's a cap casualty. That's
he can't stay healthy. But
right.
would we take him over Smith?
I would over Donovan Smith. Yes, because when he can stay healthy, he's an All-Pro. He's an upgrade.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And see, that's what I've been thinking about, because I love my Bucs, but I watch all the teams. So I be scouting other teams like, man, what are they going to do with this guy?
You should.
He can't stay healthy.
It puts you ahead of everybody else, because you can talk about it and say, oh, what about this guy? Well, maybe he's on the outs with this team. Okay, well, maybe he's – and a lot of Bucs fans are doing it. Well, let's go get him. And I don't have a problem with that. Like, people go, why do old fans always say, go get this player? Because they want to win. They want to get their best opportunity to win. Enough with the nonsense. And I hear this on Facebook all the time, like, well, we got spoiled as a fan base because we wanted to. No, you expected to win with Tom Brady. You should have expected to win. You're not spoiled. Or you're spoiled because you get a playoff appearance. You win a Super Bowl. That's not being spoiled.
And then this whole Justin Fields thing and him not being able to pass. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I look at him and Lamar Jackson as pretty much the same quarterback.
Besides the fact that Jackson's won an MVP and actually won a playoff game. But go ahead. Yes, the same type of traits.
Same type of player.
Correct.
But here's the thing, too. Lamar Jackson has a great offensive line around him.
Correct.
Great offensive line. And his running backs he has great running backs.
Sure.
And he has a great tight end. Now his receivers might be named Peter Blake, but
right. I mean, and Peter Blake can't get it done because Peter Blake is slow as that's the problem. I mean, they got Darnell Mooney and they got a cast of characters. Pringle from Pringle's potato chips and
when they brought in Deshaun Jackson last year, I was like, what are they doing?
Well, this is Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore bringing in Deshaun Jackson, who's 180. I mean, the guy still has speed, but the guy every time he goes out on the field, if he runs faster than 4.3 or 4.2, he's getting hurt. Hurting hamstrings.
He plays when he wants to. We
all
know that.
Well, he definitely plays when he wants to. I mean, it's probably one of the worst free agent signings in Bucs history.
Oh man,
right up there.
Oh man, but I mean, like I said, for Jason Light, for Todd Bowles, this is going to be make or break for you guys, I mean, you guys, you got to.
Is that a fair situation? Let me ask that to fans. Is that a fair situation? Is that a fair situation to you?
No.
Todd Bowles finally gets
it's
his
not.
coaching staff,
No,
but
it's not.
now he's saddled with a quarterback that's never started, but only thrown the ball
No, it's
9
not.
times. Is that a fair situation to you?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. It's
Okay.
not. Absolutely not. It's not. Because see, here's the thing. Bruce Arians came in. They bought Tom Brady in. Okay. Bruce Arians came in, had a up and down season with Jameis Winston.
To say the
Jameis
least.
Winston,
Yes.
Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions
And 30
Now, I'm gonna
touchdowns.
tell you,
Yes.
we all know that if Winston probably would have cut those interceptions in half, we might have made the playoffs that game. He might have still been here. But if Tom Brady was a free agent, they was gonna get rid of him for Tom Brady.
Of course they were. Door number 2. It goes
Sure.
back to door number 2. Of course.
Then the next season, Tom Brady comes in. We give him, the Glazers give him and Arians anything they want.
Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield, yes. Antonio Brown, Gronk, Leonard Fournette, yes.
Did it pay off? Of course
it did. Yes.
Because look how many teams you still see don't have championships at all.
Sure.
So it paid off. Now the thing about it was, you bought everybody back, but you didn't look at. You were signing people to 2 and 3 year contracts. And you were backloading these contracts, and we're paying for it now that all these guys are gone.
Right. Right.
So it's like
you got to pay the piper now, and
listen,
you knew it was coming due. But I just hate that whole. Right. I think they can make. I still think they can be flexible. They have a plan. Are they going to sign as many free agents? But
I think Todd deserves this year and next year at least.
Well,
at least that's the minimum.
It's going to come down to how many wins you have, but I think it's somewhat of an unfair situation at the end of the day. It's a good point. Good stuff, Curtis. Thanks a lot for the call, as always, my friend. All right.
All right, brother.
All right, appreciate you.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff there from Curtis. I mean, that's the question for the night. Is it an unfair situation for Todd Bowles to be on the hot seat? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Let's go out to one of our sponsors, uwager.lv, promo code SportsWeb. Once again, uwager.lv if you're betting on the NHL, NBA. Put that code in there. Of course, March Madness coming up here in a couple weeks. SportsWeb, uwager.lv. All right, let's read these comments, and then we'll get to some other things here, some predictions from other analysts about who could be the other quarterback, the veteran that the Bucs are looking at. So let's see here. No way. Jameis, nope. Kevin again. He crapped on the team once he left. All right. Christopher Cole. Fields almost broke Vic's rushing record. Absolutely. David says, I would not trade 2 first-round picks for Fields. You don't trade a franchise quarterback for no reason. You don't see the Chargers, Bengals, Jaguars trying to trade their quarterback. Hell, Baltimore is trying to do everything they can to keep theirs. Just my opinion. It's a good point.
Flawless victory.
To that point also, though, I would say that Baltimore right now may be trading Lamar Jackson because they can't pay him. You see, when you're under that rookie contract, you have that opportunity to build the team around him. And then eventually when you have to pay that quarterback, you're going to have to lose those players. And that's when the window kind of closes. So that's why it's important to, when you have a young quarterback, you do everything to put those weapons around him and take advantage of that contract situation. Now, with that being said, and the Chicago Bears track record when it comes to quarterbacks, why would it shock me that they would make a terrible decision? I mean, honestly, just let's be realistic about this. Mitch over Patrick Mahomes. Mitch over Deshaun Watson when Watson was good and not having all the stuff off the field. Why would that surprise me? So because they trade somebody, I'm supposed to think that they know what they're doing when they've been able, they have probably been able to develop. They've never been able to develop a young quarterback. They're in the same breath when you're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Cleveland Browns. It's a quarterback graveyard. So why would I think, if they're trading Fields, that's a red flag? I would just say they messed up. But I understand where you're coming from. I don't think they're going to trade Justin Fields because he is the franchise quarterback of that team. Bucs need to draft Bryce Young from Bama. Good luck with that. He may be the number 1 overall player, whether it's not going to be the Bears. It could be Houston. It could be Indianapolis. It could be the Panthers. It depends on what the Bears are going to do. But again, going back to the report today from Adam Schefter, it certainly seems like the Bears are inclined to listen and possibly trade. Of course they're going to. You have to do that. If you're the Chicago Bears, you absolutely have to trade that number 1 pick and get as many first-round picks as possible to get as many primetime players to come in and once again be the cornerstones of your offense or your defense. You would be crazy to pass up on the opportunity of what the Bears have right now. And not only do the Bears, or not only are they in the driver's seat when it comes to the draft, they got $98 million, over $100 million in free agency. So they are ready to go. They got a plan. Let's go out to Troy here. Thank you, JP Peterson, for exposing the NFL as a rigged entertainment. Kevin says facts on JTS. He was bad last year. Needs to prove himself. He needs to be a part of that consistent pass rush, which wasn't there. But to be fair to that defense, 43 sacks, they got to get more out of him. If he's a number 1 pick, he's got to step up. This has got to be the year. He's got to step up. If not, you have to look in the draft. They could look at the draft at 19 for somebody. Maybe a Drew Sanders out of Arkansas who transferred from Alabama to Arkansas. I think everything is on the table, right? We always talk about it, free agency being the biggest indicator at the end of the day, whatever you do in free agency. What are the Bucs going to do in free agency? How many players are they going to cut off this team? That's when you're going to know what they're going to do at the end of the day. And for me, they may just trade out of 19. Why not? I mean, this is the year for Jason Licht to trade out. I would just sit there at 19. If there's a quarterback on the board, convince somebody to trade up there. Or if there's a player on the board, it takes 2, you trade out of that situation. And you get multiple picks because you're going to have multiple needs. And that's what you're going to have to do. So I could see that happening. Trask might be another Ryan Leaf. Trask may be another Brock Purdy. I just have my concerns. I'm not going to bore you with it because I've said what I've said, and until he proves himself, and that's the plan going forward, I'm going to think that. Doesn't matter. Trask needs to learn the new OC. Absolutely. So young. Sounds like our last quarterback. No. Depends. Jason says restructure, which brought in Tom Brady. I think once the combine comes around, Richards, I think, is going to fall just from what I've heard from Gator fans alone. Anthony Richardson, not Richards, but Richardson, I know who you're talking about. But talk is he could be number 1 overall. What if there's a team out there like the Carolina Panthers, and the reason why they want to get up to number 1 is because they don't want to take Bryce Young or they don't want to take C.J. Stroud. They want to take Anthony Richardson. We've seen it before. We've seen it happen in the draft before. You center on a player and they're number 1, and this kind of goes back to one of the Bucs draft picks, right? Daquan Bowers. Remember the greatness of Daquan Bowers, defensive end from Clemson. He's the number 1 overall player in February from Todd McShay. And then you start to hear injury red flags, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's a second-round pick for the Bucs. And you think you get great value and didn't necessarily get that great of a value. I mean, that's where the draft stock goes. That's how important the combine is. It's the most important job interview out there. Richardson goes out there even with no pads on and shorts and a t-shirt and throws the ball around. And you have the tape out there and you see the potential. Who's to say that it doesn't attract another team out there to say, you know what? He's the number 1 quarterback. I don't care what any other team thinks. He is the number 1 quarterback. That's who we're going after to trade up in this draft in April. But he's inconsistent. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. Very inconsistent, but he's got all the tools. He's got all the measurables, right? Highly recruits. He didn't make enough throws for me. But you know what? People will say Josh Allen. Josh Allen was what? A 55% completion percentage passer when he was at Wyoming. What is he now? He's amazing. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, right? So you don't know. And Bucs don't go with Bryce Young. They're not. Then go with Branch from Bama. The safety saw this in some mock drafts. Absolutely. Oh, my God. A kicker. Russ says Winston needs to go to the Raiders. No names. Russ again. Locke will be good to bring to Tampa. Jason, the draft will get better. Russ, bring James Morgan in to back up Trask. I mean, we've interviewed James Morgan before. I don't know if that's the answer to back up Trask, seeing as he's never gotten an opportunity to start in the National Football League. Did you get the Rolex? Yes, I got the Rolex. There it is. Thank you, Jason. And Kyle, we trust, says Harry Berg. Hope you're feeling better, my friend. Jason says we have to grab some new O-line. Christopher Cole, we're going to be shopping at Save-A-Lot this year. Sandra Nagel says, watching the best sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area. The Sports Web, 1252 Sports. The Hub, of course. I Love St. Pete. Couldn't get on I Love St. Pete tonight. For some reason, StreamYard was kicking me out, so we'll figure that situation out. But we shared the show, so we're not necessarily going live from there. Drew Sanders is a beast. And Kevin says, I would say Hendon Hooker in day 2 slot for the Bucs. I don't think he's going day 2. As many people want him to go day number 2, he may go day number 1. He may be a late first-round quarterback. That may be a player that you hope is on the board at 19, that somebody says, you know what? He's not going to do anything at the combine, but he's going to be ready by training camp. We watch the tape. We look at the tape. We're going to trade up for him. We're going to give you the house. We're going to give you a number 1 pick next year. You trade up a couple of spots. We'll give you a number 1 pick this year. You trade up. That's the call that the Bucs have to take. That may be a player right there. I like him, though. I like him a lot. He's just coming off an injury, but reports are that he's going to be ready for training camp. So we'll see. He's got the measurables. He's got the mobility. He's got the numbers from Tennessee, what he did. But there are a lot of teams that know that, and there are a lot of teams out there that are interested. The Raiders would be interested. Plenty of teams. The Colts, you would think, would be interested. It's the teams that are quarterback desperate right now. Maybe they miss out. Maybe the price is too high for the Chicago Bears. Come on down. The price is right. No, the price is wrong. According to
This guy sucks.
Bob Barker right there. The price is wrong, right? So then you wait for these other quarterbacks to come down, and that's where Hooker goes, right? That's what the Bucs are hoping for. Thoughts on Max Duggan? I don't. He's a late round guy. He's not in the conversation. I don't know. I think he's a late round selection at the end of the day. I don't think he's one of the top quarterbacks. I don't think a lot of them. I think it's an amazing story, what he had there at TCU, but I don't see him being an eventual starting quarterback. I don't see it. The focus has to be O-line and D-line. It always has to be the focus, doesn't it, Jason? I mean, that's where you're drafting. You're drafting between the trenches at the end of the day. That's where you're going. That's what this team somewhat struggled in, right? Offensive line, defensive line, not consistent pass rush. You got to get younger there. You're not sure about Shaq Barrett because he's coming off a major injury. You're not sure how your offensive line is going to look if you decide to move on from a Donovan Smith. And even then, if you do have Donovan Smith come back, you know you got some problems. This line wasn't good last year. Tristan Wirfs being the exception, of course. Ryan Jensen being out hurt, coming back 100%. Shaq Mason at right guard. You have Luke Gedeke, who wasn't good. Another year in this system may be good for him. So, yeah. Let's see here. So, good stuff there. Good stuff, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
Bulls goes defense round 1. Certainly possible, right? All right, let's go out to the Rich Eisen show. BA had some comments about Tom Brady. He says, Tom wasn't himself, with all the things that were going on. I got to give him all the credit in the world for battling through what he went through last year for his teammates. I think the world of him, but he wasn't the real Tom Brady out there. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? We've kind of talked about that. BA said it himself, right? I don't think that's a smack at Tom Brady. I think that's what was going on. You realize that with his play on the field. You realize that with the games that he played, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, still throwing for nearly 4,700 yards, but not being able to make some of those throws down the field, whether he's getting time or not. You had to think that was a distraction, and BA basically kind of said that on the Rich Eisen social. What do you think about that? 727-255. 0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, the new number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. This from Dallas Robinson of the Pro Football Network. He predicts the Bucs will sign one of those veteran quarterbacks in free agency and former number 1 overall draft pick, Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't expect the Bucs to dabble too much in the free agency market, but if they want to bring in competition for third-year quarterback Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield could do the trick. He's unlikely to be expensive, but his late season run with the Rams might indicate he's still capable of being a starter. Training camp competition between Trask and Mayfield wouldn't be the worst outcome for a team on the cusp of resetting. Baker Mayfield, what do you think? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, Mayfield was drafted number 1 overall by the Browns in 2018. 14,000 yards, over 14,000 yards, 92 touchdowns, 56 interceptions. Of course, with Cleveland, Carolina, which was a disaster, and some signs of, once again, flashes of brilliance with the Rams. We'll see how that works out. Now, with Carson Wentz being cut today, of course, saving the Washington Commanders $26 million on their cap, the most likely spot for Carson Wentz to end up is where? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is one of many teams here. It says this might be his best chance of remaining a starter in the National Football League. The Buccaneers have a horrid cap situation this offseason. Horrid, you got to love that word, right? Said no one ever, which may keep them out of running for some of the upper echelon quarterbacks who are expected to be on the market. They also own the 19th pick in the draft, which is out of range for this year's crop of young quarterbacks expected to come off the board. If they want a veteran to help push Kyle Trask in training camp, Wentz may be a cost-effective way to do it. Wentz last year, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, although, once again, potential second overall pick. What do you think about that, Bucs fans? Let's go out to Mr. Russ here. Stetson Bennett to the Bucs second round. I don't like him already. I know what he did at Georgia. It's a terrible decision. He's 25 years old. He has no business being out drunk. No business making that decision. What are you thinking? I don't like that decision in itself. I'm not sure if there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to look upon that and say, yeah, he's won. He made a critical, terrible decision. Is he going to make those critical, terrible decisions when he comes into the league? He's 25 years old. He's not 18, 19, 20, 21. He's 25. You know, if the lights didn't turn on by then, the lights are never going to turn on. I always go back to it. You know, we talk about Alvin Kamara, who's going to see his day, and he should see his day with the reports that came out there. How he knocked somebody's jaw out. The NFL needs to make an example out of that man. I always say about it, players, what's the priority? Do you want to be a running back for the New Orleans Saints? If you don't put yourself in that situation. And if the NFL is not about lip service at the end of the day, they got to make an example out of them. Because you and me, we do that kind of stuff, we're going to jail. You lose your job. This is not about athletic privilege at the end of the day. It's not about Kamara and how talented he is, because he's unbelievably talented. It's about if the NFL is protecting the image of the shield, you do what's right. Suspend that guy for longer than 8 games. Let's go out to Raymond here. We go O-line as Trask has plenty of weapons around him. We just need an O-line to buy him time. Again, going back to the comments of Dave Canales, we need him to be a point guard. So distribute the ball. What else from the Rich Eisen show? Let's hear from BA again. It was hard. It was very hard for me. And he was talking about the firing of Byron Leftwich, but it's Todd's football team. I handed it to Todd for a reason. He's got to build it in his image. There's no hard feelings between the two guys. Their philosophies just didn't match. That's a problem. That's a problem in itself. The philosophies didn't match up. Big time problem. Red flag right there. Guy wants to be conservative. The other guy wants to have no risk it, no biscuit. Guy wants to throw the ball 66 times. Other guy wants to run the ball half of that. That's a major problem. BA also goes on to say, I got all the trust in the world in Todd Bowles. I feel terrible for Byron. I still think Byron will be a head coach soon and should be. So there you go. That's from BA again. Let's go out to Russ here. Bucs should trade for Trent Williams and bring toughness to the OL. What are you going to give up? Trent Williams is one of the best tackles in the league. I mean, what are you going to give up? I mean, you think the 49ers are just going to give him up? What are you giving up? That's what it comes down to. So what do you think about the quarterback situation at the end of the day? We talked about it. Some combine notes here. The Bears plan to meet with most of all the top quarterbacks, which is interesting in itself. Again, this is called chess, right? Everybody's playing checkers. They're playing chess. They're going to still meet with the top quarterbacks at the combine here. Likely would include Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levi, and Anthony Richardson. There's that name again, Anthony Richardson. Just saying, right there. Let's see here. Jason says the Bucs are built on defense. They're going to have to be built on defense, especially with the young quarterback. And you got to think about it in terms of this. You're not going to be an explosive offense. Are you going to score more than 18 points? You better. You better score more than 18 points. You're not going to be explosive offense. 24-27, depend on your defense. Have the quarterback be a DLG quarterback, which means manage the game. Run the ball. Take the pressure off of him. Use the weapons that you have. Again, distribute the ball, as the new offensive coordinator Canales just said. Let's go out to Raymond here. Who do we take at 19 if we stay there? Offensive lineman, defensive lineman, possibly a corner. Again, free agency will be the biggest indicator. If you lose a Jamel Dean, automatically at that juncture, to me, you need a corner. You need a corner. Offensive line, depending on Donovan Smith. If Donovan Smith goes down the road, which has been rumored that he's going to be cut, that's where you look. You still go out there and get a veteran, because I'm not throwing in a left tackle that's a rookie with a rookie quarterback. He hit his third year, but he's a rookie quarterback. I'm not doing that. We talked about that tonight with Leo Haggerty. So again, free agency being the biggest indicator at the end of the day. NFL will drop the ball. They better not. Better not. Make an example out of Alvin Kamara. Do what you say you're going to do. Protect the shield. He had a year to play. If he's guilty of this, which it certainly looks like he is, because he admitted to it, there's no defending it. And if the video shows that he knocked that guy out and his crew knocked that guy out, by the way, shame on your crew for not holding you back. But shame on you for not having the mindset to, was it worth it? I hope it was. I'll tell you right now, the NFL, you're going to get their money's worth. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Will Levi is a list of quarterbacks who's expected to throw during the workouts this week at the NFL Combine. According to multiple reports, the former Kentucky signal caller will do a full workout for scouts this week. He joins CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson as the top prospects at the position who will show off their arms. Bryce Young is expected to wait for the pro day. Levi started at Kentucky the last two seasons after transferring from Penn State. 185, 283, 2,400 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 11 starts for the Wildcats in 2022. That has been rumored for the Bucs to trade up for him. I don't think they're doing that. I do not think they are going to do that at all. So with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap it up right there. Thanks to our guest tonight, Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself. We'll be back soon here, probably on a Wednesday night on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, as we get you ready for free agency. We get you ready for the draft. 3 things on this Monday night. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And Bucs fans and fans of the sports web, it's your time. Have a great night. Bye.